How to be the best concrete pump operator. Built like a form, hard as cement. He lifts at 5 a.m. and pours at 6. Discipline is the foundation. Let's make one thing clear. Being a concrete pump operator is not for the weak, the whiny, or the Wi-Fi dependent. This job isn't done from a standing desk while sipping an oat milk latte. No, this is a profession where the day starts when it's still pitch black outside. Your forearms feel like jackhammers, and the closest thing you get to air conditioning is the breeze coming off a spinning boom. And yet, for the few who rise to the challenge, the rewards, financial, physical, and spiritual, are rock solid. If you're built like a form and hard as cement, then congratulations, you just might have what it takes to be the best concrete pump operator. Let's start with the basics. Concrete pumping is the delicate art of hurling liquid stone through steel pipes at pressure levels rivaling small artillery. It requires precision, stamina, timing, and most importantly, the ability to not freak out when a 5-inch line starts dancing like a possessed fire hose. This isn't just a job, it's a kinetic blend of construction and choreography. The pump is your instrument, the concrete your rhythm, and the site is your stage. One misstep, and your crew ends up in a modern art piece of grey goop and profanity. The best to ever do it? That title floats somewhere between folklore and Jobsite legend. Some say it was Big Mike in Houston, could back a putzmeister into a 2-foot gap blindfolded and had biceps that made rebar jealous. Others whisper about El Toro from South Florida, who once ran a 300-foot line solo while eating a breakfast burrito. These men didn't just pour concrete, they poured standards. They taught us that being great isn't just about flow rate, it's about flow state. To become the best, you have to start with mindset. The alarm goes off at 4:30 a.m. and your only choice is violence or the gym. A real pump operator doesn't hit snooze, he hits a superset. Why? Because every hose you drag, every boom you wrangle is easier when your body is forged in the fires of pre-dawn discipline. You want to be a machine? Train like one. That's why the concrete gods favor the shredded. It's not vanity, it's job site survival. Let's talk about skill. If you think pumping concrete is just pushing buttons on a remote and yelling all clear, you're in for a rude, wet awakening. The best operators have hydraulic intuition. They know exactly how to feather the boom over delicate rebar cages, how to modulate flow like a faucet, even when the mix is acting like pancake batter in a blender. They don't just pull levers, they conduct symphonies. Slab pour, smooth as butter. Column fill, no voids, no splatter. Shotcrete slope on a 45-degree incline. They do it with a cigarette in their mouth and a smirk on their face. But here's where the real juice is: money. If you're in the union, depending on where you're stationed, you can earn between $35 to $55 an hour, often with time and a half or double time for weekends or night pours. Private sector, even more, especially on high-demand commercial projects where precision matters more than speed. Some elite operators bring in $120K, $150K annually just as employees. But the real dough, that's in owning the rig. A used concrete pump truck, let's say a Schwing or Putzmeister, will run you anywhere from $100K to $400K depending on age and condition. New ones? North of $500,000. But guess what? That's not a liability. That's your warhorse. You put that thing to work, hire out your services for $250 to $500 an hour. Yes, per hour. And suddenly you're not just a guy with calloused hands. You're a mobile contractor with the earning potential of a white-collar exec. You invoice thousands per day, and your only real enemies are clog-ups, careless laborers, and concrete that sets faster than your lunch break. Want to go full beast mode? Buy a second pump. Get a helper. Train him. Now you've got a crew, then a third pump, maybe a trailer pump for tight access jobs. Boom, fleet. You're not just an operator anymore, you're a business owner. You're dispatching rigs, managing pour schedules and stacking cash while drinking pre-workout from a champagne glass. The best have done it. You can too. But before the Bentley, you need basics. You got to know your slump tolerances. You have to be fluent in rebar layout, vibration etiquette, formwork pressure, and the anatomy of a boom. Learn the gear. S-tube versus rock valve, 3 line versus 5, peristaltic versus piston pumps. This is nerd stuff for the job site gladiator, and you must master it. Why? Because when something breaks down mid-pour and the concrete starts to set in the lines, it's not just a mess, it's a career-defining moment. The best don't panic. They troubleshoot. They clear the line, clean the hopper, and salvage the pour while the lesser men spiral into F-bombs and finger-pointing. Another key trait? Communication. The best operators know how to talk to finishers, masons, supervisors, and ready-mix drivers like a multilingual job site diplomat. They don't just point and yell, they coordinate. They anticipate problems before they happen. And they never, ever blame the mud. That's rookie talk. A true pro adapts. The mix was hot? Adjust the boom sequence. The slab's flashing off too fast. Slow the pour rate and talk to the finisher. Real pump operators don't make excuses. They make it work. And don't sleep on the soft skills. You ever seen a foreman lose his mind because a pump was late and the concrete started to go off in the drum? That's a $10,000 mistake. The best operators are early. They do the walk down. They prep the site. They calculate their pump distance, account for hose width, check the mix design, and set up their safety zones like it's an Olympic event. The pour hasn't started, but they've already won. Let's sprinkle in some myth-breaking, shall we? No, this job isn't just about being jacked, though it helps. You also need the brain of a mechanic, the reflexes of a fighter pilot, and the patience of a monk. Concrete waits for no man, but it also rewards no fool. You need to be hyper-aware of timing, temperatures, truck rotations, and site logistics. A single clogged reducer or misplaced hose can stall a $200,000 project and get you blacklisted faster than you can say back pressure. And then there's fitness. You better believe being the best means training like an MMA fighter with a cement fetish. Morning cardio, midday lifting, hydration, stretching. It's all part of the program. Why? Because 5-inch hose doesn't care about your weekend. That bad boy weighs 100 pounds and fights back when full. You'll be dragging it across rebar, up scaffolding, around columns, while dodging wheelbarrows and juggling radio calls. If you're not built for this, the pump will humble you. Let's say you get good, real good. Your name rings out. Contractors request you. Other pump guys nod with respect when you show up. That's when the real magic begins. You start teaching. You take apprentices under your wing, teach them hose control, maintenance rituals, and how not to splatter an architect's suede boots with a poorly timed prime. You pass on the legend, because being the best doesn't stop with you. It multiplies through you. We can't forget the lifestyle. It's not glamorous, but it is noble. You'll miss a few barbecues. You'll have concrete dust in your nostrils and hard hat hair in your Tinder profile. But you'll also be part of something real. Cities rise because of you. Schools, hospitals, bridges, poured by your hand. You're not just earning, you're etching yourself into the world, one pour at a time. So you want to be the best? Good. Now go mix your ambition with grit, pour it through discipline, shape it with skill, and finish it with pride. Let's talk about the vibe on a job site. Not the playlist, Though if you're the kind of guy blasting death metal during a deck pour, respect. But the energy you bring. Concrete waits for no one, but people do. If you walk in jittery, late or hungover, the crew feels it. You're the pulse of the pour. You control the tempo. If you move like a professional, stay calm, and radiate competence, everyone from the rookie laborer to the salty finisher tightens up their game. But if you're sloppy, panicked, or slow, the entire rhythm collapses, and you're the guy people pretend not to see at the next job fair. You want to be elite? Then master site presence. That means showing up early, walking the job like a general surveying his battlefield. Locate the pour zone, identify elevation changes, check for overhead obstructions, make peace with the site superintendent, and, most importantly, find the bathroom before the pump fires up. You don't want to be sprinting to a porta-john with a 300-yard line surge behind you and a full bladder. These are the things they don't teach you in school, but they separate the seasoned pros from the cement-splattered amateurs. Then there's the pump itself. Most people think it's just a truck with a robot arm, but a seasoned operator knows their rig better than they know their own girlfriend. Every hiss, tick, and pressure bump has a story. You feel when the agitator's lagging. You hear when the S-tube needs grease. You smell when someone poured diesel in the hydraulic tank, and now you're about to spend your lunch break on the phone with tech support in Germany. The best treat their pump like a sacred beast, fed, cleaned, honored. It's not a machine, it's your machine. You break it, you fix it. You love it, it loves you back. Ever met a crusty veteran who doesn't even flinch when a line clogs mid-pour? That's the guy who's been around. He doesn't yell, he doesn't panic. He moves with clinical precision, opening the clamps, checking for airlocks, signaling the driver, all while holding a casual conversation about last night's UFC fight. That's confidence. That's experience. That's the level you want to reach. Not because it makes you cool, though it does, but because it keeps the pour running smooth and your phone ringing for future jobs. And then there's the art of priming the line. Novices treat it like an afterthought. Legends treat it like a sacred ritual. You want that slurry slicker than a greased otter. Dry prime if you're brave or suicidal. Slurry prime if you like playing it safe. Add some slick pack? Sure. Whatever your method, you better do it right, because if the line clogs 20 feet in, you're about to spend the next 45 minutes reverse pumping your soul out while the finishers stare daggers into your spine. Let's switch gears to respect. This trade lives and dies on reputation. If you're late, messy, or arrogant, word travels faster than a blown-out reducer. But if you're early, sharp, and professional, even on nightmare jobs, people remember. That GC who watched you unclog a 5-inch line with a hammer and a smirk? He's calling you next month for his 40,000 square foot warehouse pour. Reputation is compound interest. Build it now. It pays forever. And let's get real about the dangers. This isn't cupcake work. We're talking pinch points that'll take your fingers, pressures that can break bones, and lines that can whip like a pissed-off anaconda. Safety isn't just for OSHA. It's for your family, your crew, and your legacy. The best operators don't cut corners, they cut risks. They wear their PPE. They set up outriggers right. They don't just wing it, because dead men don't collect paychecks. Still think this gig's all sweat and no reward? Think again. Concrete pumping is one of the few blue-collar paths where skill can scale into empire. Own your pump? You're a business. Own 5? You're a fleet. Lease to contractors, subcontract on large-scale pours, even pivot into commercial shotcrete or high-rise boom placement. There are guys out there who started in muddy boots and now own half the county's skyline. one pour at a time. Want an example? Meet Trevor, legend in the Southwest. Started with one trailer pump in a beat-up Ford, doing back patio slabs and pool decks. Kept his overhead low, worked weekends, never said no to a job. 5 years in, he had 3 boom pumps, a scheduling assistant, and contractors bidding for his calendar. Made over $750,000 last year. Still shows up in work boots. Still hoses down his rig at the end of every pour. Why? Because the best never forget the hustle that built them. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. You just need to be the guy everyone wants on their site. The one who shows up ready, gets the job done right, and doesn't leave behind a Jackson Pollock mess of cement on the rebar. Be reliable, be skilled, be jacked, if possible. Helps with lifting elbows and impressing the laborers. And let's not forget, there's joy in this work. There's something primal and satisfying about laying down the literal foundation of a building. The hiss of the pump, the rhythm of the boom, the sound of wet concrete slapping steel. It's poetry in high vis. And when that slab sets, smooth as silk under the finisher's blade, you get to say, I did that. You want to be the best? Start by caring more than the rest. Care about your rig, care about your mix, care about your site, your crew, your finish. Master the technique, sure, but never forget the attitude. Being the best isn't about being louder, it's about being undeniable. Next section we go deeper. How to network, expand, become a business mogul in steel-toe boots. But for now, wrap your mind around this. If your foundation is discipline, your mindset is mastery, and your concrete is clean, then you're already halfway to legend status. So, now you've mastered the machine. You've dialed in your slump game, built arms like I-beams, and your rig purrs like a content pit bull. But here's the twist. Being the best isn't just about pumping concrete. It's about pumping value. The real heavy lifting? It's done with your network, your business acumen, and your ability to turn one job into 10 more without begging, undercutting, or hoping. Let's start with the people you don't see on Instagram. Estimators, site planners, project managers. These are the suit and hard hat hybrids who decide where the money flows. And if you're on that list, if you're just a name on a clipboard, you'll get the last-minute calls on the ugliest jobs. But if you're the guy who shows up sharp, drops knowledge, and makes the site flow smoother than a self-leveling mix, you'll be booked before the rebar's even tied. It's time to talk about business cards, but not the cheap ones with clip art of a boom pump. No, you want a clean, thick stock card with your name, your specialty, and, this is key, a phone number that doesn't ring 5 times before voicemail. Better yet, set up a Google My Business profile. Upload high-quality shots of your rig, videos of clean pours, and before-after job site pics. You want to be searchable and unforgettable. This isn't marketing. This is brand warfare. Next move? Shake hands at the batch plant. You heard me? The guys loading trucks at the plant are the plug. They know who's pouring what, where, and when. Drop off coffee, be friendly, ask about hot jobs, build relationships with ready-mix companies, because if your name comes up enough as the operator who never clogs and always tips, guess who they recommend when a frantic foreman asks, know any solid pump guys? Want a cheat code? Partner with finishers. Good ones. Finishing crews love reliable operators. They don't want to babysit a rookie who jerks the boom or floods the slab. Team up with a strong finisher, and suddenly you're not just a pump, you're a package deal. Contractors love that. One call, 2 pros. Boom, locked in. Okay, let's talk scaling. You've been operating solo for a while. You're good, really good. But you're capped. You can only do 1 pour at a time, and when your truck's down, you're losing money. This is when the empire starts. You buy a second rig. maybe a smaller trailer pump for residential stuff. Train a helper, someone hungry. You don't need another you need a mini you, someone with grit, humility, and sponge-level learning capacity. Bring them under your wing and build them from laborer to operator. Train them not just on the mechanics, but on the mentality. How to walk a site, read the crew, adjust under pressure. You're not building workers, you're building warriors. And when they're ready, send them out. One rig becomes 2, then 3. Before you know it, you're scheduling pause from your phone while sipping pre-workout in the gym parking lot. Now you're a business owner. That means contracts, insurance, invoicing. You'll need to go from beat-up notebooks to software like QuickBooks or Joist. Get a logo, wrap your trucks, start bidding on bigger jobs, parking structures, tilt-up walls, commercial slabs. Build relationships with developers and general contractors. Show them you're not just a dude with a boom, you're a solution. The money here? Oh, it gets stupid. A medium-sized operation with 3 trucks doing full-time work can rake in 1M plus gross a year. You pay your operators 80K, 120K, cover maintenance, insurance and fuel, and still walk away with 6-figure profit margins. Especially if you hustle those night pours or high-rise core jobs. Add in line pump gigs for tight access or pool builders, and you're a mobile gold mine with a grease gun. Let's not gloss over the sacrifices. Being the best comes at a cost. You'll miss birthdays, sweat through your 3rd shirt by noon, and wash more dried mud out of your hair than shampoo. Your knees will hate you, your lower back will threaten mutiny, and you'll start measuring time in yards and PSI. But if you love it, if you love the grind, the gear, the glory, then this job isn't punishment, it's purpose. Let's address something controversial. The ego. A little swagger is necessary. You need to walk onto a site like the pour won't happen without you, because a lot of times it won't. But cockiness without competence? That'll get you bounced quicker than a low slump on a hot day. The best walk a tightrope between humility and dominance. They know they're the backbone of the site, but they also know every mistake echoes across rebar. You want a legacy? Document it. Start a YouTube or TikTok channel. Concrete Chronicles. Show behind-the-scenes rig maintenance, line clog battles, boom ballet in tight spots. People love it. And young guys, they eat it up. You'll build a following, maybe even a brand. Hats, hoodies, training courses. Turn your hard-earned knowledge into digital assets. Passive income, baby, made from pump grease and good lighting. Now let's circle back to your fitness. Look, the pump game will either break your body or build it into a monument of steel and tendon. Choose the latter. Lift heavy. Do farmer carries. Train grip like your rent depends on it. Because some days, it literally does. Flexibility matters too. The guy who can contort into a rebar maze with 80 feet of hose over his shoulder wins. And nutrition? You can't fuel a diesel engine with soda and gas station hot dogs. Hydrate. Eat protein. Treat your body like your boom. Daily maintenance or face breakdowns. Mentorship. That's the final piece. Being the best means lifting others. Not just hose. People. Teach. Share knowledge. Help the greenhorn not get blasted by a reducer the first week. Show them how to clean out without painting the truck. That's how you make the job site better. That's how you earn respect deeper than your paychecks. So let's summarize what it takes to be the best. Discipline like a Navy SEAL. Skill like a surgeon in steel toes. Hustle like your diesel bill depends on it, because it does. A network tighter than a clamp at 1600 psi. A body built for war and wire mesh. A mindset that doesn't fold when the pump kicks, the mud thickens, and the GC's yelling because the drone footage missed your setup shot. When the concrete starts flowing and the site's relying on your every movement, know this: You are the difference between chaos and creation, between a job getting done and a disaster getting started. You're not just an operator, you're the heartbeat of the poor. And the best? They make it look easy, even when it's anything but. And now, the final slab, the last pour, the finish trowel, the part that separates the weekend warriors from the full-blown legends. See, it's not enough to be strong, skilled, and soaked in diesel. The best concrete pump operators don't just master the trade, they elevate it. They treat the job like an art, their pump like a paintbrush, and the job site like a canvas that's about to get covered in high-performance grey gold. The final evolution: legacy and leverage. Let's talk exit strategy. You can't run hoses forever. Knees will creak, backs will bark. Eventually, the body that once tossed elbows like pool noodles will demand a break. So, what's your plan? The smartest operators start building early. Some invest in real estate, duplexes, dirt lots, land near developing suburbs, because nothing says poetic justice like pouring the slab for your own investment property. Others start service businesses around the trade: hose repair, pump maintenance, truck washing, or training schools. They build side income from the very industry that built them. A bold few, they go full cement tycoon, start their own concrete company, mixers, finishers, full-scale ops. They've got the network, the rep, the know-how, and now they want to dominate every inch of the pour from batch to broom. If you've got vision and guts, you can do it too. It starts with one truck. It ends with your name on the side of 20. That's the real legacy play. But maybe you don't want 20 trucks. Maybe you just want freedom. A six-figure income, a few key contractor relationships, and enough muscle memory to pour in your sleep. That's fine too. Because freedom in this world doesn't come from a corner office. It comes from showing up when you choose, not because you have to. From saying, "Nah, I'm booked," when you're actually fishing with your kids. From being able to take a job or pass it off to your crew. That's power, that's wealth, that's real success. You know what else separates the best? Calm in the storm. You'll face days when the mix is wrong, the pipe's jammed, and the foreman's barking about timelines like he doesn't know it takes 30 seconds to clean a hopper, not 3. The rookie panics, the average man complains. But the best? They smile, adjust, adapt. They own the chaos like a Zen master in steel toes. And when it's done, when the job's back on track and everyone's wondering how it didn't turn into a concrete-soaked crime scene, the best are already rinsing their elbows, drinking water, and planning the next gig. And while we're at it, don't forget to celebrate. That perfect pour where the finishers barely had to bull float, that bridge deck with 0 voids, that 4,000-yard pour that went off without a hitch. Own that win. Take the photo. Post the reel. Not out of vanity, but to document excellence. The blue-collar world needs more heroes, more icons, more stories. Be one of them. Because when it's all said and done, you're not just a concrete pump operator. You're a builder of skylines, a facilitator of foundations, a force of industrial nature. People drive past buildings, bridges, schools, parking garages, and they don't think twice. But you know. You remember the boom swinging out like a steel serpent, the hum of the pump, the hose dancing in your gloved grip as you filled forms with precision and pride. You left your mark, not with a pen, but with power. So what's next? Maybe you train the next generation. Start a course. Concrete Pumping 101, from green to God mode. Teach the fundamentals, yes, but also the finesse. Show them how to feel the mix, how to finesse the boom like a violin, how to prep a site before the first truck rolls in. Turn your scars into lessons, your calluses into curriculum. Maybe you write a book. Built like a form, hard as cement. The Concrete Pump Operator's Guide to Strength, Skill and Success. Catchy, huh? Lay out the journey. Inspire the next blue-collar warrior who's sick of being broken, bored, and wants to trade a warehouse job for a career that pays in muscle and money. Or maybe you just keep showing up, because some of the best never leave the field. They love the roar of the engine, the smell of fresh concrete, the satisfaction of seeing the line blow out clean after a brutal 300-yard pour. They're not chasing an exit, they're chasing mastery. Every job is a chance to be better, to tweak, refine and sharpen. To show the young guys that legends aren't made in air-conditioned offices, they're made in mud, metal and motion. In the end, being the best concrete pump operator is about more than strength, more than money, more than machinery. It's about honor. You show up, you perform, you take pride in the invisible structures holding up the visible world, and you do it with a quiet fire, a relentless drive, and a trowel-shaped chip on your shoulder. Because concrete doesn't lie. It reveals. It tells the truth about your work, your timing, your commitment. It sets whether you're ready or not. It remembers everything. And if you do it right, it remembers you.